From Long Island
to around the world.
Listen to tomorrow's broadcast professionals today.
The voice of Nassau Community College.
90.3 WHPC.
WHPC HD.
Garden City, Long Island.
Available anytime on your smart speaker.
And anywhere on iHeartRadio.
.3 WHPC. You're listening to From the Press Box on the voice of Nassau Community College. I'm Rob Leonard. Joining me, of course, is my brother and co-host, Tim Leonard. Hello, Timothy. How are you?
Good morning, brother. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Glad to hear it.
And
got a little cardio in before the show, I see.
Well, you know, God forbid you're not on Facebook for 60 minutes.
People love us.
People, I don't know, do they?
Yes, they do.
Okay, thank you. Anyway, we're on Facebook. Go to my Facebook page, Rob Leonard, and you'll see Tim for most of the show, unless I'm on right now. Am I on right now, Tim?
You are on right now, brother.
Okay. You know, Mom said not to talk to the camera before the show, and you do all the time.
Of course.
You should listen to Mom. Anyway, let's talk sports as we always do. We have Women's World Cup. We have the Mets. We have the Yankees. We have the All-Star Game. And Joey Chestnut for a little while. And Cousin Kawhi will be talking about a little bit, too. Let's start off with the Women's World Cup.
Cousin Kawhi, the big story in the NBA this week.
It is. But the Women's World Cup is the big story for
the big story
this week. United States defeated the Netherlands in the final 2-0, which, by the way, brother.
Women's World Cup, let's say that.
By the way, I predicted 2-0 on my show yesterday.
Did you?
I did.
Seriously?
I did, because I mentioned that you said it was going to be a 3-0 game. And
That's correct.
I said I think it's going to be a 2-0 game because I think it's going to be a little more defensive because final games usually are. Though when
a lot of people were I saw a couple,
when the United
on Twitter
States played Japan 4 years ago, it wasn't. So
it was very offensive.
Right.
A couple people on Twitter were going 5-0. David Waldstein of the New York Times thought it was going to be a blowout. I corrected him. That's why I said 3-0. I said 3-0 is not really a blowout, but it's a convincing victory. But
right.
You know,
but
some
I
other
said
guy responded.
I said 2-0 yesterday, and it was actually a pretty good game. And
better than expected.
I don't know the goalie's name on Netherlands, but I thought she played a really good game, even though they lost.
Yeah, she did. She kept them in it early. There was the one save that she made where I forget who took the shot. It might have been Julie Ertz, but the ball basically hit her in the side. Like right in the like in the abdominal region,
right,
and went wide of the left post, which was a fortunate save. But any goalie will tell you that one of the keys to being a goalkeeper is good positioning.
Sure.
And I'm sure after the game, when somebody asked her about that save, she just looked at him and said, "Good positioning." She never got her hands on the ball, but she got in front of the shot, and that's what a goalie's job is. So you got to give her credit.
Use everything you can.
Yeah. So that was, you know, and I was telling people because I was doing a little bit of a running observation, I guess, on the match yesterday, and I was telling everybody once the United States got a goal, I thought the game would open up more,
right? And
it did to a certain extent because Megan Rapinoe scored on the penalty kick, which the United States actually got because of VAR. Which I continue to be a massive VAR fan.
What is VAR for people?
VAR, which stands for Video Assisted Referee.
Oh, okay. Video.
That's like in baseball when they stop to review the play. That's what it's called, VAR for soccer. and as you remember,
well,
brother.
God forbid they actually use something that's similar to other sports.
Well, in baseball they just call it replay.
Yeah.
So. But as you recall, brother, my Tottenham was a beneficiary of one of the first VAR calls,
right,
when Manchester City had the goal disallowed in the Champions League that sent Tottenham through to the semifinals.
Of course.
So in this case, one of the Netherlands defenders came up to Alex Morgan with a high boot. I mean, literally hit her in the shoulder with a cleat. I still didn't think it was a serious enough foul.
I didn't either.
To warrant a penalty kick.
It was a high kick or a high foot, really.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it was...
There was contact. I mean, the thing is...
I don't think it prevented her from moving.
The problem is with situations like that is defenders in the penalty box and penalty area need to be careful. And she wasn't careful. And that was the issue, I think. Because was that... I mean, I didn't think it stopped a goal-scoring opportunity.
No.
It was a situation where it was I don't even want to say it was inadvertent, because it wasn't. I mean, she put her boot up by Alex Morgan's shoulder and made contact with it. That's pretty high. But did it really seem that grievous? I don't know. I didn't think so. I didn't think it was a penalty kick. But on the other hand, I thought it was a foul. Right. But if there's a foul in the box, it's a penalty kick.
That's right.
So the referee went back. She took a look at it. She saw there was contact there. She saw where the boot landed, and she pointed to the spot. So Megan Rapinoe steps up. It wasn't a very good penalty kick she took.
No, but
I'll be honest. It was.
But it scored.
But
That's all that matters.
she got the goalie moving the wrong way, and just put it on the other side. Yeah. So I mean, if the goalie would have dived to her left instead of moved to her right, she would have stopped it easily. But you know, if what was that saying? Ifs and buts or something or other. I don't know.
It went in the back of the net. That's all that matters.
61st minute, and then it opened up a little bit, because then here comes young Rose Lavelle. Just split a couple of defenders, came in basically 1-on-3. Didn't really look for anybody. Didn't really have to look for anybody. Just took a dribble to her left, cut the ball back, right, just inside the right post. Goalie dove for it, couldn't reach it. Just an absolutely perfectly placed shot. And there's 2-0. And once 2-0 happened, it seemed to me like the United States just kind of sat on the lead. And said, all right, you know what? We got 2. Even if they get lucky enough to get 1, they're not getting 2 on us.
No, they're not. And it was a very... And that's what you do if you're up 2-0 at that minute point.
I disagree.
I think it's. I think it's better to. Yeah, I know what you're saying. You don't want to go back into like defensive mode totally, where they just keep shooting. Eventually, they might get something. But at the same time, if you have that little time left, like 25 minutes, you know what?
I'm personally, I'm a big fan of the third goal. Because that kills the game.
And plus, you would have been right on your prediction.
That too.
You're actually going against your brother, who had the prediction.
Well, but then when Carly Lloyd came in the game, I knew Carly Lloyd was going for a goal.
Well, yeah,
because she wasn't about killing the clock. She came in and I could read her mind. She's like, I need a goal. Let's get me a goal.
I think I know she was the star replacement person, basically. But I really thought she should have started. I mean, here's a...
Over who?
I don't know. That's
you got to tell. If you're going to say she should have started, you have to be able to say over who.
Well, that's...
And not over Tobin Heath. Tobin Heath was outstanding. She can't start over Rapinoe. Rapinoe was the best player in the tournament.
Right.
And then you got Alex Morgan in the middle, who was the second best player in the tournament. So...
cover of Time magazine.
Where do you put her?
I don't know. I feel bad, because 4 years ago she was the superstar.
I feel bad too, but that right there is the commentary on how good and how incredibly deep this team was. We could have started. The United States could have started their backups and made the semifinals. I'm convinced of that.
Right.
That our second team, the team that barely played in this World Cup, that if we would have put in an entry USA B or USA 2, that team would have made the semifinals.
Probably.
So that is how good. And
is it like with the NBA players playing in the Olympics? Is it that good of a domination?
This time around, it was, and I'm not really sure where that came from. That's what I've been trying to figure out for these last few days. Is a few years ago, Like 2003 and 2007, Germany won back-to-back Women's World Cups. Then 2015, we finally came back and won it, and now we get it again in 2019. And back when Germany won, I don't even remember who won in 2011. Maybe you should look that up, brother. But back
Women's World Cup?
Yeah, Women's World Cup 2011. But back in those in that time frame, in 2007 when Germany got its second in a row, and 2011, I was of the mindset that, all right, you know what? The rest of the world is starting to catch up to us because we have been playing. We've had girls playing soccer for 30 years, and a lot of these countries are finally starting to catch up to us in terms of skill levels. Because in Europe, it was only guys who played soccer. Women basically weren't even allowed to play.
In 2011, Japan.
That's right.
Against the United States.
That's right.
That
horrible game.
2-2 draw after extra time.
Yeah, that was the year that wasn't that the year that Wambach scored the goal against Brazil in stoppage time, like with 2 seconds left in the game after the ref screwed us and red carded somebody. I'm pretty sure that was that year. And that was also the year that Japan had those devastating what was it, earthquakes, floods,
Tsunamis.
something. Yeah, maybe it was a tsunami, but something was going on there. But it was around that time where I started thinking, this is the rest of the world is starting to catch up to us, and how are we going to maintain our status as one of the dominant teams or one of the top teams in the world? And instead, since 2011, the United States somehow has pulled away. Now, part of the problem is that our opponents aren't necessarily putting the funding into the women's game like we do here. Now, that being said, I don't want to shy away from this, so I'm going to mention it now. The whole equal pay thing that's going on with the women's team,
right?
They got to pay these women.
They do.
Because the reason I say that, you can talk all you want about the World Cup and what FIFA is giving away as bonuses in terms of prize money and whatnot, but I'm talking U.S. soccer. And I had to look at the numbers. I thought that the men's team brought in a lot more money than the women's team. The women's team actually brought in slightly more than the men.
Yes, it's sort of caught up.
That's not sort of caught up. It's even. It's even. The women actually brought in a little more.
Caught up. I said caught up.
But we're talking it's a system where, and I've said this in the past, that you get paid according to what you bring in. And that's why the NWSL hasn't been successful, because they have trouble getting even 10,000 fans for a game.
Right.
And that's a problem.
And we're going to see, for everyone who watched, I'm sure the ratings when they come out are going to be
massive.
Massive. It's going to be massive. But it's got to learn the fans who watched it and watched it in Dumbo and watched in these viewing parties in different places. Are they going to go to the NWSL games?
But I'm not even talking about that. You're taking me off topic here.
I am, but it's something you just brought up. Are they going to support the NWSL? And the NWSL, it doesn't even have a team in New York. The closest team is like Rutgers or something.
Jersey, yeah.
But that doesn't count.
Sky Blue.
Yeah, you don't even know they're from Jersey. It's Sky Blue FC or something. Again, another stupid name with FC.
But my point that I'm making here, brother, is the money that U.S. Soccer brings in for the women's team is slightly more than what U.S. Soccer brings in for the men's team. So why are they not paying the women?
They should give them a nice bonus.
The same as the men.
They should give them a bonus.
They should give them the men. If the men win the World Cup, they get $9.3 million.
Okay.
The women got like $250,000.
Okay,
it's absurd.
That's not right.
How much different it is, and I don't know if it's because U.S. Soccer knows that the men are never going to win the World Cup, especially the way they're playing now. I mean, our men's team is going backwards. All right, and our women's team, they came into this tournament A, as a defending champion, B, having to play in Europe. Don't underestimate playing on a certain continent, how much of an impact that has on a World Cup. It has a lot of an impact. All right, they had to go through Spain, France, England, the Netherlands. That's 4 European teams in the knockout stage.
Okay,
and they went to every one of them, and I don't get. I was of the mindset a couple of weeks ago, before I looked into this and before I did the research, I was of the mindset that the men's team brought in lots more money. And I was 100% wrong.
Not right now.
100% wrong. So when people are chanting so much of the stadium, not want to say the whole stadium, so much of the stadium was chanting after the match, equal pay.
Sure.
How do you ignore that?
You can't, but they'll try, and in a month they'll cut some deal.
FIFA said the president of FIFA said that they want to demonstrably increase the prize money for the next Women's World Cup.
Okay,
something by like 4 times.
Well, that doesn't help
and it
the
probably
women
should be more.
who caused it.
Well, this is how you make improvements in the world. Sometimes
it's called a bonus. You say, okay, here's $1 million.
Well, that's fine.
Or whatever the going
probably more than that, but
I'm talking about $1 million a person.
Well, I don't think they're going to do that, but the women, these women need to be paid. First of all, this is a historic team. It really is.
More than the 99 team, which you covered?
I didn't want to go there because I really was kind of clinging to kind of those were like the halcyon days. You know, it was back when the U.S. women kind of had to overcome a couple of teams, and China back then really had a lot of money into their team and
Right.
really built it up. And now China's just another team. China's not going to be in a World Cup final again for a long time unless they change their entire system. But this team, like I said before, as deep as any team ever. The women in the women in 1999, they had a very good team and probably went 15, 16 deep, but there were a couple of players that were kind of along for the ride with that team. This team, they could have plugged in anybody, and that player would have been pretty much as good as the person who was starting.
Right.
So
I personally think that the 99 team kicked the door open.
Absolutely.
This team, even though they've won last time, is the team that's going to move it even more. You know, they're now in the building, and they'll say, "Okay, we're taking over." That type of thing.
But
I think the next time you see women's soccer, at least on the international level, you'll see equal, not equal to the men, but very close.
I hope for the United States women it's equal, because that's all they can control.
Right.
They can't control FIFA. FIFA is aware of the situation, though, and you have to look for FIFA's perspective. They're looking at how many people.
Well,
how many bucks are we putting
I
in
want to
seats?
know where the TV money is coming from. Obviously, all the games were sold out.
No, they weren't.
They weren't.
From a seating standpoint, they might have sold all the tickets. From a seating standpoint, they were not even close.
Well,
there were a lot of empty seats.
Then that's something you got to work on.
And that's something. Yeah, that's something that needs to be addressed. I'll tell you what. They could do worse than having this tournament in the United States every other tournament, because when they take it to Europe, there's still that provincial mentality that football is for men, and why are we watching these women? And I even know friends of mine who were Tottenham fans, and they were talking on Facebook, I can't watch the women's game; it's too slow. It's like teenage boys could beat them. And I'm like,
I
a different game.
I like the slow game.
You have to acknowledge the fact that it's a different game.
It is. I actually like it better.
Well,
because a lot of times, you know how we both played soccer. We know how it's played,
right?
And what's
how
it
it's
all
supposed
about.
to be played, and where players are supposed to go.
But at the same time, I hate the whole midfield action. I want more, end-to-end action, and you don't get that.
You want the bomb in soccer too.
The what?
The bomb.
The bomb. What's the bomb?
The bomb, like football. You're always.
Oh, the bomb.
You always want the bomb.
Well, I was Darryl LaMonica. I grew up with Darryl LaMonica. He was the bomber.
All right,
the bomber.
But I mean, I don't. I'll take any strategy as far as soccer goes. I'll leave that up to the coaches. I leave that up to the players and what kind of skills they have.
Well,
it doesn't matter to me in that regard.
What's going to happen is part of if you had it every other time in the United States. First of all, FIFA would get more money.
I know, because the United States would sell out every stadium.
They'd sell
every
out
game.
more stadiums. They get better TV ratings, which means they get more money. And stations like Fox, who obviously love covering soccer,
right?
They would love to have it in the United States,
of course, because then,
then
they can pick and choose what time the games are on.
And it's like
not
the Olympics.
Like yesterday. Yesterday we had the World Cup final in America on at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
that's That's no good.
No, but you know what? It's the finals, and it's like they used to have Wimbledon on, 9 o'clock in the morning on Channel 4
but that's,
on NBC. Not anymore. It's on ESPN.
Because it's 5 hours ahead. But
right.
That was something that surprised me a little bit was the fact that, like I said, there were I saw, depending on the game, I saw a decent number of empty seats. And that surprised me because I figured it was all sold out. Now, maybe it was, because you see that at the Olympics, too. All the Olympic tickets are supposedly
Olympics
sold,
are different.
but you'll see half a stadium
But
empty.
that's different.
But so I don't know what ticket sales were. Also, we should note that the United States women will be honored with a parade down the Canyon of Heroes in New York City. Because why, brother? Because New York City is where champions go to celebrate.
They do.
That will be Wednesday morning. You'll have to put up with Mayor de Blasio, but that's not so bad. 9:30, I believe it starts, going from
whatever the
Battery Park, I think, to City Hall. I think it's Battery Park as a starting point. And as we said before, Megan Rapinoe got the Golden Boot. She scored 6 goals, but she did it in fewer minutes than Alex Morgan, who also scored 6 goals. And the woman, what's her name, White from England, also scored 6 goals, but she didn't have any assists. And Alex Morgan and Megan Rapinoe each had 3 assists, so it went to second tiebreaker. Let's see, what else? I don't know, what else?
Well, you got the women first time back-to-back cup in a while.
Well, it's first. They're all the second women's team to do it. Germany did it, like I said, in 2003, 2007. That's the only 2 times. I mean, it's not like the women's cup has been being played since 1930s like the men. Right. I mean, they started in I think it was 91 was the first cup.
World Cup record of 26 total goals.
26 total goals is a record.
And you look at Megan Rapinoe. I'm looking at her age right now. She's 34.
34.
This might be her last one.
I mean, she is the player of the tournament. And this could very well be her last World Cup.
Alex
She'll be
Morgan
38.
is going to be 34.
Just turned 30. There was a graphic that Fox left way too early. And I think it was after the game. It showed how many United States players were 30 and above.
Right.
And there was, like I said, the graphic went off the screen so quick. There was 9 or 10. It's what they call a veteran team.
Yeah.
Now Rose Lavelle is 22. She'll be the centerpiece of the next World Cup team. Alex Morgan will be there at 34. I think she'll still be around. I don't know if Rapinoe might take a Carly Lloyd role if she decides she wants to keep playing. Because, like I said, you don't go from being the best player in the tournament to being off the team unless that's
I
your
also
choice.
think Megan Rapinoe has other things happening in her life. I mean, she is the anti-Trump person on this team. There might be others, but she has already said
there are many others.
There was a chant, anti-Trump chant in the background.
There was profanity in there. It was on Fox News.
It was on Fox News, which is where it belongs.
It's all over Twitter, too.
And whether the president invites the women's team, I mean,
he actually had the gall to lie about it and say, "Well, we haven't really thought about it yet."
Are
you kidding?
He's not the smartest man in the world. So anyway, we'll see what happens. I think Megan Rapinoe has other things. This is the first time you've had such an open lesbian be in the forefront of this team.
Well, it's like she said a couple of weeks ago when they asked, you don't win a World Cup without gays.
Right. Well,
it's science. That's what she said. She kept saying more than once. Well, it's science, and she's right.
That weird hair that she had, I was like, what the heck?
It was supposed to be pink. It kind of came out a little purplish. I kind of preferred the purple, to be honest with you. I thought it was a good look after it settled a couple days.
Right. So anyway, it's going to be interesting. Well, like I said, it depends. Let's see what happens with the NWSL. They need a makeover because this league, I've watched a couple of games. First, we don't have your games on Lifetime. That's the worst place for anything in sports. And second of all, you know what? You need a team in New York.
Well, I think the sad reality for the NWSL is it's going to go on as it currently is. People in this country love events, and the World Cup is an event. It's an event that goes on for about a month. But it is still an event.
That's true.
And people
But that
get
doesn't-
behind
yeah, I know
this
that.
American team. They
I
don't
know
want
that.
to. It's like in '99. They didn't like seeing that team broken up.
Right.
And Mia Hamm playing in Washington, and Brandi Chastain playing out in the Bay Area, and Tiffany Milbrett playing in New York. They wanted to see all of those women still play together.
Right.
And there was something romantic and victorious and joyful about it.
They also
And-
the WUSA had a lot of money invested in it, and no one knows where all of it went, I think.
Well, but that's what they need now. They need somebody who is going to, who first of all is very rich, and secondly is going to commit to at least 5 years, and with the mindset of, all right, it's not that I don't care how much money I lose, but I'm prepared to lose this much money. Because somebody has to come up and open a checkbook and say, look, we are going to do what we have to do to make this work. Because otherwise it's not going to work.
Well,
You can't pay players $25,000, $30,000 a year. Maybe. A lot of them aren't even making that.
right.
But you can't pay them so little that they can't live.
That's true.
If you're a professional athlete, you got to be able
or
to pay
if you
your
have
rent.
or you have a shorter season, so they can do what the baseball players used to do. They used to work in Rizzuto worked in a clothing store.
He had a bowling alley,
Yeah,
too.
and then later on a bowling alley and stuff. So anyway, we're going to take a break. You're listening to From the Press Box right here on 90.3 WHPC. I'm Rob Leonard. He's Tim Leonard. We're going to have the show later on Spreaker. Tim, you're at Twitter
At Real Tim Leonard.
For all those songs radio has forgotten about. Join me, Big Ed, Mondays from 10 a.m. till noon for The Good Gold Show. We'll bring back all the great hits of the 50s, 60s, 70s, and more. The sounds of doo-wop to disco, all the Motown, soul, and great rock and roll. We'll even take your requests and dedications to The Good Gold Show. Music. On the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC, and streaming on the iHeartRadio app.
Okay.
Go.
Tell your friends about the Nassau Morning Madhouse. Hear what you're missing.
Check it out.
We're talking about spoilers. There have been a lot of people taking spoilers really seriously.
As they should.
I've always been anti-spoil. Have you ever seen... Well, I don't want to say what it is in case someone is planning to watch it or something.
Is it new?
Yeah, is it new?
No, I think it's pretty old. But
Okay, then it's fine.
I don't want to be that guy.
But what
I
movie?
don't believe in spoilers, period.
But what's
I
the
do.
movie?
Well, it's My Girl.
The movie came out in 1991. It's fine.
Oh my!
All right.
I don't...
you just don't talk about movies.
The movie
I
is
don't-
2 years older than I am.
I don't believe...
The Nassau Morning Madhouse. Weekday mornings from 7 to 9. On the voice of Nassau Community College.
90.3 WHPC.
Answer me. Who taught you to listen to Radio Rumble at 12 p.m. on Saturday afternoons?
You, all right? I learned it by watching you.
I'd buy that for $1.
The Radio Rumble has it all.
Humanity will suffer with me.
Movie reviews,
No kind of Sandys, you're wrong.
sports talk,
Hi, sports fans. I'm Doug Frisch-Preed.
awesome music.
Excellent!
So listen, Saturday afternoons at 12 p.m. for The Radio Rumble on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
I learned it by watching you.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
We're back here on From the Press Box, part of the WHPC Sports Talk family. Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. during the summer. There's Sports Talk. Of course, there's also another Sports Talk every Thursday, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. But we're the morning Sports Talk, so to speak. We're From the Press Box. I'm Rob Leonard. He is Tim Leonard. 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. every Monday. Becomes a podcast later on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and wherever else you get your podcasts. Anyway, brother, we talked about the Women's World Cup quickly. The men's, what was it? The
Gold Cup.
The Gold Cup, which FIFA, doesn't know how to read a calendar, does it?
Well, this was two separate entities. I don't want to get too much into this because I wasn't happy about it. The fact that there were 3 games yesterday, 3 titles being decided, was ridiculous because nothing should be being played on the same day as a World Cup final.
I agree.
So, and that wasn't FIFA. That was CONCACAF.
Okay.
So that was the schedule. I'm not going to blame FIFA for this but they should have done something with CONCACAF and told them absolutely not. You're not having any kind of final on that day. And I know some soccer fans were happy. You had a game at 11 o'clock. You had the South American tournament with Brazil playing Peru, and then you had the Americans playing Mexico at 9 o'clock at Soldier Field. So it was like a full day of soccer.
Yeah, but it's wrong day to do it.
You can't. It's a World Cup final. Give that respect. Nobody would schedule another game on when the men's World Cup final.
You know what it reminds me of? Reminds me of the Super Bowl. Is there any other games played after 6 o'clock? No, there might be a day game at the Coliseum or something for the Islanders, or the Knicks or something.
Exactly.
Not the Coliseum, but after everyone knows they're going to be watching the Super Bowl, so they don't plan anything.
And the other thing was, and I know it was because of where the game was being played, but to have the women's World Cup final be the first of 3 games,
right?
It should be. I mean, it should be the marquee game of the day.
I agree.
11 o'clock in the morning. For Americans, I'm sorry. I thought it was a little disrespectful. I thought it was bizarre, and I know some people, and I had a couple of goes with some people on Twitter about this, but I didn't think it should have happened, and it was also depressing because now we go from this joyous, celebratory, we're world champions, way to go, U.S. women, to oh my God, our men's team is awful. Look at how crap they are. Look at Josie Altidore, who can't score into what should have been a wide-open goal. Look at Christian Pulisic going around a defender and having an open shot, and what does he do? He dribbles right to the goalie and tries to get off a shot, and the goalie smothers it. In the first 10 minutes, we should have been up 2-0. And instead, it's 0-0. Mexico scores in about the 72nd minute or something.
One thing about you talk about men and women's soccer. We talked about that before. One thing I like about women's soccer, they'll take shots from further away.
No, the men do too.
But not as much. They tend to take it within the 12-yard position. Women will take it from 18 yards and out.
I got to be honest. I think that's a mistake when the women do that too, because they're not as strong. They can't put as much power into the shot as the men can.
Well, I like that. I like the thought process at least. Anyway, brother,
it stretches the field a little bit, but depressing as I said on Facebook yesterday. El Disappointo, because our men were just not good, and it wasn't even against Mexico's best team, which makes it even more disheartening. So poor effort by CONCACAF with the schedule, poor effort by the United States men in losing to Mexico in a Gold Cup final, which could have made it a double celebration day and made everybody in the country feel good about soccer. And instead, we wind up with
let's quickly. We're actually running out of time, brother.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's talk about the Yankees. The Yankees are way ahead in first place.
How about those Yankees? And that's even after losing their last 2 games to Tampa Bay.
Didn't your boy Bob Croce say the Yankees would never be in first place?
Croce said the Yankees were going to win 84 games, and he refuses to put any money on what I like to call the CIP. It stands for Croce Idiot Prediction. And he has said more than once. It is trademarked, actually, brother. Okay. I put the little TM in Facebook post. He said 84 wins. The Yankees have, 57, I believe, at the All-Star break? 57 wins for the Yankees? So he is now telling me the Yankees are going to win 27 games the rest of the year. Do you think that's possible, brother?
No.
Exactly. No. Exactly. So the Yankees, despite losing their last 2 games with Tampa Bay and splitting that series with the Rays, and Travis d'Arnaud, what happened there? The guy's getting walks. He's hitting home runs. He looked like Johnny Bench for the last 4 days. I don't know what happened. Why did the Mets get rid of him? Disappointing 2-1 loss yesterday.
Why did the Mets do a lot of things?
Well, that's true, too. So Yankees' best record in the American League, 57-31. They lead the Rays by 6.5 games, but 8 in the loss column, the all-important loss column. They lead the Red Sox by 9 games, 10 in the all-important loss column. The Yankees will be sending 5 players to the All-Star game. And those would be MVP candidate DJ LeMahieu. Yes, he is a legitimate MVP candidate.
Okay.
Catcher Gary Sanchez, my man El Gary. Relief pitcher Aroldis Chapman, who was quietly had a stellar season despite a couple of near breakdowns against Tampa Bay in these last couple of days. Gleyber Torres was added, as he should have been added a long time ago, but he was added to the roster, having a terrific season, and starting pitcher Masahiro Tanaka also was added. I still think ridiculous that Luke Voit was not part of it. He wouldn't have played anyway because he's now on the IL.
Yeah, but he could still get put on the team.
Should have been on the team. I don't understand why he wasn't. Nobody's hit more home runs than he has since the Yankees traded for him.
And we should say before we continue, brother, in a coincidence no one could have predicted.
What's that?
John Sterling missed his first game in 30 years.
How about that? I actually listened to the Yankees on the radio that day.
They're not saying what's right or wrong with him, but they say he's lost a lot of weight this year, which isn't always a good thing.
Well,
and the other thing is his partner for many years, Michael Kay, he is having a throat operation.
He had throat surgery,
and he will be gone for a month.
Cords. Yeah, he'll be on the IL for a month.
Yeah, so both of these guys, who for many generations of Yankee fans has been the voice of the Yankees,
yes,
are both gone at the same time. It's very unusual.
I will start with Sterling. Sterling is, let's face it, he's 81 years old.
I know.
He's not a young man.
No, he's not.
So he wanted to take a break. He didn't want to take the trip down to Tampa, which I certainly can understand.
They also sat him down and said, "Hey, why don't we get you checked out?"
Well, I don't listen to him hardly at all.
I have because I'm
really not a fan.
Sometimes,
yeah, I'm not a fan.
I like when he goes, "Yes, well, Susan." I love Susan.
John. You know Susan.
Yeah, it's like he doesn't want anyone in the booth. But to me, Sterling is goal island to goal island to goal. So, but he wouldn't have taken time off because he missed a wedding, a friend or family member's wedding once.
I don't really hate to say it. I was going to say I hate to say it, but I don't really hate to say it. Sterling should have been either retired or pushed out 10 years ago. And people look at him.
But if he's okay, I mean,
he's not good at his job.
But it doesn't matter at this point.
But yeah, it does matter.
No,
As somebody who listens to Yankee games, yes, it does matter.
No.
All right.
Bob Murphy should have been pushed out 5 years earlier. Well, he wasn't either.
Yeah, but that's so.
Vince Scully, same thing.
So I don't know how. Well, Vince Scully is a legend. Vince Scully.
Yeah, I know that. But the last
benchmark.
You listened the last couple of years.
I did. I remember that was when I was working at MLB. I watched a lot of Dodger games that year. Vince Scully is still got the job done. All right, I don't know what happened. The Facebook Live just cut out.
Okay.
But Sterling is, like I said, I don't think he's very good at his job. He blows a lot of calls. I don't think he's watching the game half the time because he gets a lot of stuff wrong. That's just my own opinion. A lot of people love him. A lot of people just love listening to the guy. You'll hear fans quote everything like every home run call, they'll quote it, and that's fine. I mean, that's the beauty of sports. People have different opinions on everything.
Where it all picked up is when FAN would play the replays,
right?
And they'd have Sterling,
and they'd have his calls.
They'd have the radio calls, not the TV calls,
right?
So that's how it all started,
right.
Really. I mean, it's kind of interesting.
But I'm curious to see what's going to happen with him because when you look at what's going to happen with the future with him, where like I said, he's 81. He's not a young man.
No.
He certainly. I don't want to put words in his mouth or think for him, but I have to assume that he's thinking about, all right, when is it going to be my last season? He's 81. He's got to be thinking like that.
Well, sure. He also said that if he hadn't taken this off, he said he definitely. Next year, his daughter graduates college, which means he had kids late in his life,
right?
And he said he would have been there for that no matter what.
Oh, of course.
So, it was going to end anyway. Sometimes it's better to end it on your own choice.
Sure,
because unless you die on the air, unless you're like Jack Spector, who dies and has a massive heart attack, dies on the air, and is remembered for the guy who died on the air.
But that's like Cal Ripken. Cal Ripken decided, hey, I'm going to end my streak, and nobody really knew it. But when it happened, all of a sudden, people, reporters took a look at the lineup card, and everybody did a double take because it was, it was a situation where it was like, wait a minute, where's Cal?
Yeah.
Because you're so used to seeing his name there,
right?
And it wasn't, it wasn't even something you noticed immediately, right, because you're so used to looking at it, you just kind of look past it, and then you look again, it's like, wait a minute, there's no Ripken there.
Well, Cal did the right thing. He did it before the season ended. Because then if the season had ended, then they said, oh, he's going to stick around, and the whole season would have been, speculation if he's coming back and going to keep playing. And which he did keep playing, but he just, he ended the streak on his own. No one's ever going to break that streak. They said that about Lou Gehrig too, but most likely
nobody. Not in this day and age, because they, players like get days off. They ask for days off. Managers want to give them days off because they want to try and keep them fresh.
Yeah, let's
Ripken was the last
quickly
of that.
talk about the Mets. Our sister works in HR. I don't know how she would handle Brodie Van Wagenen throwing a chair during a meeting with Mets coaches after Edwin Diaz blew another save.
Brodie, that was your trade.
Yeah.
So you're throwing chairs in the manager's office and screaming at coaches. That was your trade.
Yeah, and Robinson Cano is his deal too.
Same trade.
This, you know what? If the Wilpons didn't love this guy so much, I'd have him out the door. I think
HR would have fired him.
Well, besides that, I think he's just, you know what? What other mistakes you going to make? I think that's the best way to describe it.
You know what?
Well, Pete Alonso's been pretty good. I like Pete.
But Brodie had nothing to do with Pete.
I know that. But
in fact, Brodie was talking in spring training about keeping Pete down on the farm for an extra month.
Well, he's going to take credit for him. So.
Well, but Pete Alonso's been a revelation for the Mets. He's been one of the few good things that happened with the Mets, the other being Jeff McNeil. I think that, if you're looking in the Mets situation, first of all, Jeff McNeil and Pete Alonso are the only two Mets going to the All-Star game.
Right.
Pete Alonso will be competing in the Home Run Derby tonight. I will say that, brother, that I have predicted that Pete Alonso will win. MLB.com is having a contest for $250,000. I'm winning it.
I hope so. You can use the money.
Pete Alonso is going to be my guy.
Well, Pete's making $555,000, and the prize for the
major league minimum
is and the prize to win is $1 million.
Yeah,
so
he's motivated.
He's going to make double his money.
Kid needs some cash.
So
he's a motivated guy tonight. So he said that. That was one of the reasons why he wanted to get into the contest. This was like a month or so ago, before any of this was announced. Alonso was campaigning. He's, I want to be in it. And then he kept hitting home runs, so of course they're going to invite him. But he was like, I want to be in the contest. I want to win $1 million. I need money, dude.
It's getting to the point with him that you expect him to hit homers now. He's very fun to watch as a Met fan, especially with this crappy season that the Mets have been having. And you know what? If it wasn't for their bad bullpen, this team would not be as bad as you think.
Starting pitching hasn't been all that good either.
No, that's true. But
it's supposed to be what's carrying this team, and hasn't been good.
The bullpen has totally screwed this team.
Oh
up.
Yeah, completely.
It's
the bullpen's ERA in the last month and a half. I forget the exact date, but last month and a half, it's about 8.
Yeah, you
can't win with that kind of an ERA for any part of your team, but much less a bullpen, and you're giving up leads. So, yeah, Pete Alonso, I love his nickname, Polar Bear. They all got Polar Bear shirts now and stuff. It's kind of cool. But he, like I said, he's going to be in the Home Run Derby tonight. He will be going up against Carlos Santana of Cleveland, hometown guy. So I'm hoping he doesn't get rattled by that. And then he will, or assuming he gets past Carlos Santana, who's a pretty good home run hitter himself, he'll be going up against the winner of Josh Bell versus Ronald Acuna Jr. of the Atlanta Braves. Josh Bell will be winning that side of it because Josh Bell's hitting bombs this year. So we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. I think it's going to be entertaining. Vlad Guerrero Jr., who's played all of about 40 major league games.
So they're bracketing this instead of just having everyone go against everyone.
Yeah, they started this last year, 2 years ago, or whatever. They made it. It's you go into brackets, so you're going up against somebody, and once you beat that guy, then you go to the next bracket and you face off against another guy, and then
right.
No, it's better. They had to do something. People love the Home Run Derby.
They do,
but when you remember like what Josh Hamilton did, where he just kept hitting home runs,
right?
And it gets to the point where it's like, all right, well, like now what? And it was also where they would go back to zero, reset it to zero after a round.
Right.
Well, the guy just hit Josh Hamilton hit 35 bombs in a round or something like that. That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Both ways are I don't know. There's
so
gotta be a better
now,
way.
if the first guy goes, the second guy either takes his turn and goes the full way and loses, or he takes his turn, he goes, and once he gets all right, player number 1 had 16. As soon as player number 2 gets 17, boom, it's over. He's not going to be swinging for 20, 30 more home runs, getting tired, and then it hurts him in the next round. So it's a better way to do it. It saves the players. But like I said, I'm going with the Met on this one. I like Alonso. I like his swing.
I like a lot of things about him.
Seems like a good guy.
Yeah, doesn't have a big ego.
Good guy for the Mets to have around.
It reminds me a little bit of Conforto when Conforto first came up. That likability thing about him. Except Conforto,
he's kind of quiet. Conforto. I thought he was going to be more of a face of the team kind of guy.
I thought he was going to be more of a leader, and he's sort of.
I could see Alonso stepping into that role though.
Conforto was being when he first came up. It was almost like okay, we hear you.
But then he got hurt. That's why the shoulder thing hurt him and took him out of that spotlight. I do want to say something, brother.
Sure.
I
got to take a break in a minute.
All right. I was speaking to hosts from another radio show, not on this station. I will say. I'm not even going to say who they were.
Okay.
They claimed that Met fans would be happy if Brodie Van Wagenen was fired. And the reason that I called him the reason that I called him was that's putting a Band-Aid on it. Met fans would actually be happy if the Wilpons sold the team.
That's
Van
true.
Wagenen being fired. Yeah, okay. So what? Now you throw somebody else in there. He's got to work under the same restrictions as the Wilpons are putting on Van Wagenen and whoever else is a GM, be it financial. It's not a well-run club. And the Wilpons, especially Jeff, want a say in what's happening with personnel.
Sure.
They're not qualified to make those decisions, but they want to be involved.
They want to think they're smart.
So any GM that you put in that role, is how much different is it going to be?
Gets the job because he walked in and said, "Hey, this team is all ready to go," and they want. Oh, really? We put this team together. But it's a great team.
That underscores my point. Is that the problem is ownership?
Of course.
So now you have some slick talking guy who's an agent. Talk about the definition of a slick talking guy. He comes in and convinces them that he can do this job that he's never done before in his life. He has clearly screwed it up.
He's been very bad.
Not that others haven't done the same in the past, but he really has screwed it up. And now he's in a situation. I mean, I get why Brodie Van Wagenen came in. He wanted to make a splash. He wanted to show everybody, I know I've never had this job. I can do the job. So he made a lot of win now decisions. Almost all of them have backfired on him. But firing Brodie Van Wagenen, I don't know. I don't even know who you think the best GM in baseball is. You could bring that guy in. He's not going to do much better.
Brian Cashman, I think, is the best.
All right, but fine. Brian Cashman comes in, and unless Brian Cashman tells the Wilpons, look, I need autonomy. You guys go do whatever you're going to do. Get out of here. I don't want to see you in your office. I don't want to see you around the team. The only time I want to see you here is like once or twice a year when the press says, hey, we want to talk to the owners. And you do your press conference, you tell them what a great job I'm doing and how we're building something for the future, and then you go and you disappear again for 3 more months. But to me, new GMs for the Mets, it's not changing anything because the owners are the problem.
You're changing the chairs on the
Titanic.
On the Titanic.
That's what I said.
It's a bad situation for the Mets. It's not changing. You can have your Seinfeld night on Friday, which was a fun thing.
And they lost. And every back page in New York said yada, yada, yada.
Yep.
Because the bullpen blew another game.
That's right. Though it was nice to see Jerry on with Keith and Ronnie.
Jerry threw a strike. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah.
It was nice.
Better than Baba Booey did a few years ago. Better than, who was the other guy, the rapper who?
50 Cent.
50 Cent.
Fitty.
He was good. He was good. 65 years old, Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Massapequa boy.
That's our home pride of our hometown.
Anyway,
so anybody, Met fans, I want to hear from you, Met fans. If you disagree with me, fine, let's talk about it. 516-572-7440. I want to hear. I think I'm right, But I want to hear what Met fans have. Because I talked to a lot of my Met fan friends, but I want to hear what some listeners have to say about this.
We'll take a break right now. You're listening to From the Press Box right here on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College.
It's Tuesday night at 8. Do you know where your children are?
It's not Tuesday night at 8 right now.
It's 8 p.m. somewhere. It's time for the Rock Binge.
But it's not 8 p.m. here. What's the Rock Binge?
I'm ready! You know, the Rock Binge, where it plays modern rock and alternative music in a class of its own, with the latest rock news, too. Is it Tuesday night at 8 yet?
No. The show sounds cool and all, but maybe you need to buy a new watch or something?
No, I do not need a new watch. I just can't wait for it to be Tuesday night at 8. Why would you want to miss out on classic SpongeBob lines or this amazing voice?
All right, I get it. All right, I'll listen, I promise.
All right, is it Tuesday night at 8 now?
No, it's not.
How about now?
Stop asking.
You gotta turn on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
All right, forget it. If you can't beat them, join them. Is it Tuesday night at 8 now?
Let me check my watch. Nope, not yet.
Wait.
Shake off the realities of the day, broaden your musical horizons, and embrace the diversity every Monday evening at 6 on Revelations. The show offers a potently unique collection of music with an emphasis on themes and rock rarities, an occasional tour de force of blues and soul, mixed with compelling sets of folk and folk rock. I'm Steve Kay, and I've got the perfect soundtrack for your drive home every Monday evening at 6 on Revelations, right here on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Welcome back to From the Press Box, right here on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. I'm Rob Leonard. He's Tim Leonard. We talk sports every Monday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., and then the show becomes a podcast later on for replay and enjoyment. Let's talk about Cousin Kawhi, brother. Cousin Kawhi, Leonard. He has joined, not the Knicks, but the Clippers.
To nobody's surprise.
And they trade 4 unprotected first-round picks to Oklahoma City for Paul George.
That's wow. That is an unprecedented trade, by the way. 4 unprotected first-round picks and a 5th protected first-round pick. I don't know where the Clippers are getting all these picks and how many years into the future these picks, because you can't trade picks in consecutive years. So they traded 5 first-round picks to get Paul George, to basically get Paul George and Kawhi, because Cousin Kawhi was not going to the Clippers without Paul George being there.
Right.
So it's just an astounding trade. And the story got broken at about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
Woj on ESPN. Good for Woj. But just absolutely ridiculous. 2 o'clock in the morning. Who's breaking stories at 2 o'clock in the morning? Come on, Cousin Kawhi. Do better.
Well, it's 11 o'clock on the West Coast.
It's still ridiculous. But, yeah, massive trade, obviously. He and so many people thought that Leonard was going to the Lakers because, it seemed like he was leaning that way. The Lakers were trying to get enough money for a max spot to be available, and then the Clippers finally came up with the trade, and Kawhi told the Lakers, you know what, this isn't working for me, and I'm going to Clippers, save me some room in the house, because they both share the Staples Center.
Yeah, it's true. It's interesting how the Clippers, a couple of years ago, were the joke of the league, and now people want to go play there.
I heard something I saw something on Facebook, and this was actually, I thought, kind of funny. If the Clippers win the title this year, what was her name, V. Stiviano or whatever, the one that got involved with Sterling and was the reason that he sold the team. Right. They said, will she get a ring if they win a title? Because then Ballmer came in, and Ballmer obviously has all of that Apple cash.
Well, he also doesn't mind spending it.
Well, that's my point. Yeah. Sterling didn't want to spend any of it.
Well, Viv would probably hawk it right away.
So the reason that the Clippers are in the position that they are is because, and like I've said with the Mets, and like I said last week with the Knicks, is because they have a good owner.
Well, it helps. By the way, we should say Joey Chestnut wins his 12th mustard belt, 71 hot dogs,
71.
On July 4th. No one was even close. My only problem with the whole...
Second place was like 50.
I love watching this. I love the announcer.
You should enter, brother.
Oh, no, you can't. You know what? It's actually for skinny people. Fat people can't hold the hot dogs because their stomach's already stretched.
My man Badlands is out. I don't think he qualified this year.
You need to stretch your stomach. And when you're fat like me or overweight or stout,
yes.
Your stomach's already stretched, so you can't fit as much in. My problem is that they water them down. That's my problem.
Well, they put the buns in the water. They don't put the hot dogs in the water.
Well, they dunk the whole thing. That's my. I mean, I could do that too. Okay. Well, the bread's going to go down, but if you didn't have that, they eat about 10. And anyway, so
I put away 4 that day. So.
There was a women's competition.
There always is. Mickey Sudo. Won for his 6th year in a row. She's another legend.
So
she's the legend that nobody hears about because of Joey Chestnut.
But I love the setup of it. That the announcer guy is fantastic.
I don't know why the World Wrestling Federation hasn't hired that guy.
They should.
Or WWE, I should say.
Okay, the Nets are about to take over New York basketball. Kevin Durant will wear number 7, though not
I don't know why.
Year.
We don't know why. He put out this thing on, I forget if it was Instagram or Twitter, but he says that number 35 has been his number. He wore it in tribute to somebody who's close to him. He didn't say who. It was all this nonsense about, 35. It took me this far. It took me to Golden State. It took me to Texas, University of Texas. Then it took me to Seattle. Then it took me to Oklahoma City. But now I'm going to start this next chapter in my career, and I'm going to wear number 7. It doesn't say why. Just 7. Okay, well, whatever. I don't know. Maybe he's a big Melo fan. I don't know.
7th year in the league?
He's more than that. He's been around for way longer than that.
Of course, he doesn't play for a year, so, I mean... Well... It's a 4-year deal, but he gets, to sit around on his butt at least show up for the practices and coach or something.
I'm sure he'll be around because he's going to be rehabbing his Achilles. So he'll be around, and I'm sure he's going to want to be around his teammates. He's not just going to take the money and not get to know anybody there. But I think we very well could see him at the end of next season.
Well, if he can come back for the playoffs, the Nets are going to be in the playoffs next year. So.
Well, but yeah, that's that. I'm thinking that if it's possible that he could get back maybe for the last few weeks of the regular season and get a few games in, that would to me would be the ultimate scenario for the Nets. In that, I mean, I think they'll have Kyrie Irving, but they had D'Angelo Russell. I mean, Irving, I'm sorry, he's not much of an upgrade. He's a slight upgrade, but not much. But how many wins is that going to mean?
Right.
But if the Nets wind up with a 6 or 7 or an 8 seed, and all of a sudden now you got Kevin Durant coming in and playing for a few weeks before the playoffs start, talk about an advantage. That's going to be a very nervous, higher seed, a 1, 2, or 3, whoever it is.
I want to see what happens with the TV ratings. With the Barclays Center, do the Nets start drawing sellouts? The way the Knicks do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do all the basketball fans in Brooklyn, and there's a lot. The real basketball fans, not the front row, many of the front row seaters in the Garden.
Woody Allen.
Yeah, Woody. Well, Woody doesn't sit in the front.
Well, close enough.
We'll see if they jump over to the Nets. Will Spike Lee jump over to the Nets? He's a Brooklyn guy.
Unlikely, but maybe. I
can see
Spike's been a Knicks fan forever. Yeah. So I don't think.
But he's also a Brooklyn guy.
I could see him
in the playoffs there.
I could see him maybe making an appearance.
Yes, I could.
But that would infuriate Knicks fans.
Well, yeah, but Anyway, so not much else happening, brother. Big Ed is here. I just have to remind people about the Rock Overdose. Monday through Thursdays at 2 p.m. You can never truly overdose on rock music. Listen for classic rock from the 60s to the 90s. And call in your requests, too. That's the Rock Overdose every Monday through Thursday at 2 p.m. right here on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. Big Ed is here. You know what that means, Tim?
I don't know. It means our show is over.
It means our show is over. And he is ready to kick some butt, as Big Ed always does. And he's going to play the oldies that a lot of stations don't play anymore. They say, well, it's from the 50s or 60s. We really don't care about that anymore.
I know Big Ed was looking forward to that Summer League game between the Knicks and the Pelicans. R.J. Barrett and Zion Williamson. The one that they had to cancel because of the earthquake in the third or fourth quarter or whatever.
Yeah, so
sorry about that, Big Ed.
It was a travesty.
I'm just surprised that the Vegas League is, I guess because you need TV stuff, but it's like, oh, okay, well we'll show this.
It's another revenue stream for the NBA, and it's also a way for them to get their rookies out there.
Anyway, brother, let's call it a night. Big Ed, we ready?
Indeed.
Ready to roll.
He's ready to roll. We're out of here. We'll see you next Monday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Talking Sports. My name is Rob Leonard. Here you are.
Tim Leonard.
And you're at Twitter at
Real Tim Leonard.
The views expressed on air are not necessarily those of WHPC, its management, or Nassau Community College. Responsible opposing viewpoints will be considered by emailing them to whpc@ncc.edu or by mail at WHPC 1 Education Drive, Garden City, New York 11530. Thanks for listening to the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.